Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to walk through different option strategies, and we're going to start off though with a little review over calculating the exercise value of a call and calculating the exercise value of a put. So the exercise value of a call is the value you would receive if you exercised your option to purchase a stock by or on a given date for a predetermined price. That would be owning the call option. And so the exercise value of the call down here says it's equal to the maximum of the current stock price minus the strike price, or zero. So for our first example, we have a stock price today, or the stock price at time zero is equal to, let's say, $60, and the exercise price is equal to $50. And so our exercise value in this case is equal to the maximum of the current stock price, $60, minus the strike price of $50, or zero, which is equal to the maximum of $10, or zero. And so our maximum in that case is $10. In our second example, we're going to switch that around a little bit. We're going to say that our stock price is today is equal to $40. Our exercise price is equal to $50 still. So in this case, instead of going up, the price went down. And so our exercise value is equal to the maximum of $40 minus $50, or $0, which is equal to the maximum of negative $10, or $0. So in this case, the option holder, in this case the person who purchased that option, would choose not to exercise the option because they would be paying $50 for a stock only worth $40. Okay. In the second case, we have exercise value for a put. We're going to use the same examples here. So I'm just going to copy and paste this first example down below. So in this example, the exercise value for the put is the strike price minus the current price of the stock, because the put gives the option holder the right to sell the stock for the strike price. And so for the first case, our exercise value would be our strike price, our $50 minus $60, or $0. And so in this case, it would be the maximum of negative 10, or 0. And so we're going to choose 0 in this case because that's the highest value number there. And what's happening here is that the put option holder, the person who purchased that put, has the right to sell that stock for $50. However, it's selling in the market for $60. So if they're going to sell the stock, they're not going to sell it back to the person who sold them the option for $50. They're going to sell it in the market for $60 instead. So it wouldn't make sense here for them to exercise that option. And so the option has an exercise value of 0. In the second case, so if we go back up above here, we can see in our second example, we have a stock price today of $40, so the stock price went down instead of up. So the exercise value in this case is equal to the maximum of the strike price, X minus S. So that is the $50, or excuse me, $50 minus the $40, the current price of the stock, or 0. So our value, our exercise value is $10 in this case because of that. All right, so that's just a little review on exercise values for calls and puts. And we kind of need to know this for the rest of this video. So the option profit to the holder, this does not include any transaction cost. So the profit for an option is calculated as the option profit is equal to the exercise value of the option minus the option premium, what you paid for the option, the price of that option. That's the option profit to the holder. The option profit to the writer, so that's the person who's selling the option, is equal to the option premium, what they sold it for, minus the exercise value of the option. So let's take a look here. And I'll give you a little example. So let's say that we have a call option with a price or an option premium of $3.50, and the current price of the stock is let's say $70, and the exercise value is $65. So our option profit is going to be equal to the exercise value, which is the maximum of the stock price, so it's the $70 minus the $65, or 0, minus how much we paid for that option, which was $3.50. Okay, so in this case, oh, sorry. Yeah, I've got that right. So we have the maximum of 70 minus 65, or 0. So that's going to be $5 or 0. So that first portion is going to be $5 minus $3.50 gives us a profit of $1.50. So on the same option, for the option writer, our option premium is equal to $3.50 minus the exercise value. The exercise value was $5. So the option writer lost $1.50 on this. And the option purchaser, the investor here, made $1.50 on this option in profit. Okay. So moving on then, again, that's a little background for what we're going to do next. We're going to look at option versus stock investments. And what I have down here is a calculation of the values for a call or a put. And so this is going to be the option premium for a call and the option premium for a put, written on an option, an at-the-money option, where the stock price is $60 and the strike price is $60, that has 1 year to maturity, or excuse me, 1 year to expiration. It has volatility of 30%. The risk-free rate is 2%, and the dividend yield is 0. So these are the Black-Scholes option pricing model values for the call and the put for written on this option. And so we can see here, I've got a spreadsheet that shows us what the stock price is, what the exercise value of the call would be in these cases, and then the profit on a call option. Okay. So just to show you one quick calculation here, if the stock price ends up being $66, the exercise value would be $66, the stock price here, okay, minus the strike price of $60, so our exercise value is $6. And then our profit would be the $6 minus the price of the call of $7.68. So we'd lose $1.68 if we purchased that option, and the end result was a $6 stock price. If instead the stock price increased to $90, then our exercise value is $30, the stock price minus the strike price. And then we would subtract out the $7.68 to give us a profit of $22.32. So that's how the calculations work here. So what's the percentage return for a stock investor if the stock price in 1 year is $78? So to calculate this, we would take the change in the price and divide that by the original price. So the percentage return would be equal to the change in price. So in 1 year, the stock is worth $78 minus the original price of $60. And then we would divide that by our original price of $60. So we would get 18 divided by 60 would give us an answer of 30%. On the other hand, if we purchased the option instead of purchasing the stock, if the stock price in 1 year is $78, well, so in this case, our profit would be equal to the exercise value. So it's the maximum of $78 minus the strike price of $60 on that option, or 0, minus the initial investment. So our investment here was $7.68. We just bought the option instead of the stock. And so the answer here for this first part of this would be, for the profit, would be $18 minus 7.68 is going to be equal to $10.32. And then our percentage return is going to be equal to that profit. Divided by our investment. Oops. There we go. And so that's equal to, sorry about that. Our $10.32 divided by our initial investment of $7.68. So we get a return of $134.38%. So you can see here that for the same or a smaller dollar investment, we can generate much higher returns by using options. The downside of this is that if you can also generate really low returns as well. So we'll see that here. So if the stock price is $60, so for our stock investment, the return is just going to be the change in the price. In this case, there is no change in price. divided by the initial investment. So it would just be 0 divided by 60, or because 60 minus 60 is equal to 0. So our stock return is equal to 0% profit. We didn't lose money on it. We didn't gain money on it. The option investment would be equal, or excuse me, yeah, for the option investment, the profit's going to be equal to, our profit is equal to the maximum of the stock minus the strike price. So in this case, it's going to be 60 minus 60, which is just 0, or 0. So it's going to be 0 minus $7.68, what we initially invested. So our profit's going to be $7.68, or negative $7.68. And then our return, if we calculated the same as what we did here, our percentage return would be equal to negative 768 divided by 768. So our profit would be negative 100%. We'd lose all of our investment there. Okay, so we get a negative 100% return on the stock. Excuse me, the option investment. So for the what if it's $30? So for the stock, our percentage return, I'll just go back up and I'll just take this again. So in this case, the stock price goes down to $30. 30 minus 60 is negative 30 divided by 60 is negative 50%. And then our option, it's the same return, negative 100%, because we would choose not to exercise the option. The option investment profit is going to be equal to, again, the exercise value minus the investment. The exercise value is equal to the maximum of the stock price, $30, minus the strike price of $60, or 0, giving us a result of the maximum of negative $30, or 0, minus our initial investment. Sorry. And so we get 0 minus 768. So our answer again is a negative 768, which results in a profit of, again, negative 100%. And what I want you to know from this is that anytime the option is at or out of the money, then you get a negative 100% return on your option investment. While you might not get that, it has to go, the stock price actually has to go to 0 to get a negative 100% return for your stock investment. So while you can generate much higher returns using options, you can also generate much lower returns with options. So now we're going to go through the different option strategies. And the first one is referred to as a protective put. A protective put protects the option holder from a decrease in the stock price, in stock prices for a stock that they hold. The strategy is to hold the stock and purchase the option. So the strategy here is that you will own 1 share of the stock and purchase 1 put option on that stock. And what you're trying to do here is avoid the loss of the stock price falling. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So again, we have we're buying a share of stock when we buy a put, so we own the share of stock. So in this example, we have a stock that the initial price is $50. The strike price is $50, so this is an at-the-money put option. The risk-free rate's 5%, the volatility is 30%, the time in years is 1 year until it expires. The call price on this using the Black-Scholes option pricing model would be $7.04. And if you were to have a put on this, it would be $4.60. So that's our put there. So our portfolio value in this case is going to be equal to the exercise value of the put minus the cost of that put, the $4.60. So we're buying a share of the stock. Our portfolio value, when we own a share of the stock and the stock price goes down, so we see that right here at the $45 amount, our portfolio value is still $50. So the reason why is it's going to be that stock price plus the exercise value of the put. The exercise value of the put in this case would be $5, and I'll show you that down below. And then in the case where the stock price falls, our profit on this would be negative $4.60. If the stock price increases, we don't get the full increase in the value of the stock because we did have to pay for that option to protect us against a loss. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to calculate the profit on that. So profit of the protected put strategy we're going to say that our initial cost is $50 in this case for the stock. That's what it costs at time 0. And $4.60 for the put option. Okay. If the stock price falls to, let's say in this case, $40. I know above I've got $45 as our lowest price, but here we see maybe a little bit more benefit from this option. If the stock price falls to $40, then the portfolio is worth, remember we own the stock, so we've got the stock, and so the stock is worth $40. And then the exercise value of that put so in that case it's going to be equal to the maximum of the strike price. The strike price given above, up here, is $50. Okay. Minus the $40 new price, or 0. So that's going to be equal to $10. Oops, sorry. So the total value of my portfolio then, if the stock price falls to $40, is $50. Doesn't want to line up too well for me here. Here we go. So the total value of the portfolio and then the profit is going to be equal to the value of the portfolio minus the cost of my portfolio in this case. The cost of my portfolio was $54.60. So it's the $50 for the stock that we bought and $4.60 for the option, so $54.60. So I lost $4.60. And you'll notice, I'm going to go ahead and scroll back up here. You're going to notice that that's also the loss here, or the lack of profit. If the stock value is $45 to $50, if you took this down to $20 or even $0, you're going to still come up with the same value here for the profit of a loss of $4.60. The protective put is put in there to avoid or to decrease the loss if the stock price falls. So this is a good strategy. For an investor who is required to hold stock in a company, or if for some reason they getting rid of the stock or selling the stock just isn't a good idea for them. So the stock might be held in a trust. There might be some restrictions on selling the stock. And so if this investor is concerned about a decrease in the stock price, what they can do is engage in a protected put strategy in order to avoid a loss should the stock price go down. A covered call is a very common strategy. So a covered call requires the purchase of a share of stock with the simultaneous sale of a call option on the stock. So the reason why it's called a covered call is if you sell a call option, then the person who purchases that call option can require you to sell the stock to them at a later time. And so the point of it being covered is you own that stock and then you have it available for sale to them should they exercise the option. It's frequently used by institutional investors who plan on selling the stock at a specific price. And so, if I purchase, shares of stock and I expect to sell them for $70 each, and that's the price at which I think it's worth, and so that's what I'm willing to sell it for when it gets up to that price. Well, I can also make additional money by selling a call option. And so that's what we have here. We buy a share of stock and we sell a call option on that stock. So in this case, we have the situation where the stock price is $50. The strike price is out of the money. It's $70. And we have the payoffs for this. So if the stock price falls, I'm going to lose money on this, but I won't lose as much because I'm getting to sell get some money from that call option. The call value or the call price, the price of the call option here would be $1.51, and that's because it's out of the money by quite a bit. Let me get this all on one page. So what we have here again is our payoffs at different ending stock values. So if we look down here and the ending stock value is $100 and I've written a covered call, the most I'm going to make is $21.50 because anything above that strike price I don't benefit from if I've written that covered call. The person who purchased the option from me will receive that benefit. Okay. And so let's just again do a little example here of calculating the profit from this strategy. So let's say that our ending stock price is $90. Okay. The cost of the strategy I had to buy the stock, and the original price was $50. I'm just taking it from up here. And then I make money on this strategy by the by selling that option for $1.51. Okay. So the way that we calculate the profit here is by taking the amount that our portfolio is worth and then minus subtracting the initial cost. So the value of the portfolio is equal to the price of the stock at the expiration date. In this case, it's going to be $90. Minus the exercise value. So the exercise value of the option, and we're subtracting that out because that is the amount that we would pay to the person who purchased that call option from us. And so that's going to be the maximum of the stock price, $90, minus the exercise price of $70, or 0. And then what we're going to add to that is the cash we have from selling that option. So in this case, it's going to be $90 minus $20, plus $1.51. So our total value of the portfolio is $71.50. The profit of our portfolio is going to be equal to the $71.51 minus the amount that we paid for that portfolio initially, the $50 that we paid for that stock, and so our profit is $21.51. So one thing to keep in mind here, whenever you use a covered call strategy, the most that stock's really worth to the person engaging in that strategy is the strike price, because that's all they get to profit from the stock. And then anything above that is going to go to whoever they sold the option to. And so, you know, I give the example up here of an institutional investor. They're planning on selling the stock at $70 at that price. And so they can get an additional $1.51 in profit by selling a call on that option rather than engaging in putting out a limit order on that stock at $70. So they make a little bit more money in this case by selling the option. Okay. A straddle, a long straddle is established by buying both a call and a put on the stock with the same exercise price and the same exercise date. A straddle is a good strategy if you think that a stock's going to have a lot of volatility but don't know the direction the stock's moving in. So, you know, a company that's really volatile, that maybe they're coming out with a new product, maybe not. Maybe their CEO is, you know, a little volatile, a little risky. And so this might be a good strategy in that case, where you think something really good might happen to the company or something really bad might happen to a company. You might want to engage in a straddle. And so this is buying a call and a put at the same strike price. There, you don't own an underlying share of stock here. You just purchase buy a call option and purchase a put option. So in this case, our strategy would be to buy a call and to buy a put. This is an at-the-money option. So it's the strike price is same as the initial stock price. And our payoffs look like this. So if the stock value doesn't change, it's $50, then you're going to lose the amount of the option price. Okay, that your profit's going to be negative. But as the price of that stock deviates from $50, either positive or negative, that's where you see profits. So let me just give you a little example of this. In our situation up here, let's say the stock price drops to $30. Okay, the stock price drops to $30. The cost of my my strategy here would be the cost of buying a call option plus buying a put option. So the total cost of this strategy is $15.46. And this is rounded just a little bit. It's rounded by a penny, the outcomes here in my table. But the cost of my strategy is $15.46. That was buying a put and buying a call. The portfolio consists of one put option and one call option. And I'm really just betting on a lot of volatility whenever I engage in this. So let's say that the stock price falls to $30. The value of my portfolio is going to be equal to the exercise value of the call plus the exercise value of the put. So in this case, the exercise value of the call is equal to the maximum of the stock price minus the strike price. So the stock price, we say here is $30, so that's going to be our ending stock price. And our strike price is $50. Plus the exercise value of the put, which is the maximum of 50, my strike price, minus 30, or 0. And so the maximum in the first case is 0, the maximum in the second case is 20. So the value of my portfolio is $20. The profit for my portfolio is going to be equal to the $20 value minus the initial investment of $15.46, or $4.54. Like I said, what's up here in the table is rounded by 1 penny. We can see here where my stock price is equal to $30, my profit is $4.53. And again, you would use this strategy if you thought that there was going to be a lot of volatility in the stock, but you didn't know which direction that stock price might be going. A spread, we're not going to do an example of a spread because there's a lot of different ways to engage in a spread strategy. A spread is a combination of 2 or more call options or 2 or more puts on the same stock with different exercise prices or times to maturity. Some options are bought whereas others are sold or written. So this might be a situation where you buy a call option on a stock and then sell a call option on the same stock but with different exercise values. Okay? And you might be doing that to lower the cost of purchasing the option by the amount you're going to sell the other option for. So these can get a little technical, and there's many different options with choosing a spread strategy. A money spread is the purchase of one option and simultaneous sale of another option with a difference in the exercise price. A time spread is the sale and purchase of options with different expiration dates. So we're looking at the collar here, and a collar is an option strategy that brackets the value of a portfolio between 2 bounds. An example of a collar is buying a put and writing a call on the same stock. It restricts both potential losses and potential gains. So with this strategy, we buy a share of stock, we buy an out-of-the-money put, and we sell an out-of-the-money call. So this one looks a little bit different than what we've looked at before, the different strategies we've looked at before, because now we have a different strike price for the call and the put. So our stock price, our initial stock price is $20. Our call strike, the strike price for the call is $28 because it's an out-of-the-money call. And the put strike is $12, so it's also an out-of-the-money put. The stock price would have to fall by $8 to be at the money for the put, and it would have to increase by $8 to be at the money at the call. The price or the premiums for each of the call and the put respectively are $1.25 and 21 cents. Okay, so our portfolio consists of 1 share of stock, 1 put option, and the cash from the sale of the call option. So let's say, for example, the portfolio cost is equal to the price of the stock at $20 plus the price of the put at 21 cents. Or $20.21. The portfolio value, and so let's go ahead and choose an ending stock price of, I'll pick one of them that I've got here. They're looking a little weird on here, so I'll just grab this one, $32.80. So the ending stock price is $32.80. Our portfolio value then is going to be worth the one share of stock that we own, $32.80. We sold a call option, and so we're going to subtract out the exercise value of that call. So that's going to be the maximum of the stock price, the $32.80, minus the strike price. So our strike price here is on the call is $28. Or 0, plus the value of the put option, which is, or the exercise value of the put option, which would be the maximum of the strike price. In that case, it was $12, minus the stock price of $32.80, or 0. And then we're going to add in the cash that we got from the call option. So we sold that call option for $1.25. So that's going to give us $32.80 minus, and so the answer in here would be $4.80. So it's going to be $32.80 minus $4.80 plus 0 minus, plus $1.25. So it's going to be $28 plus $1.25, or $29.25. And then our option, our profit from our strategy here would be our value at the end, $29.25, minus our initial investment of $20.21 to give us a value of $9.04, or a profit of $9.04. That's what we see up here as well. And again, that's the upper limit of what we can profit from this strategy, because we sold that call option with a strike price of $28. So that's it for this lesson. I hope it is useful for you. Please let me know if you have any questions.